When they talk about close calls, this is as close as it gets. The wildfire burned its way straight down the mountainside and made a direct path towards this community. It's a safety alert for parents across Los Angeles tonight. I'm Steve Kuj, coming to you live in Tahunga with why everybody needs to keep a lookout for this man tonight. Currently, this is the home set for convicted serial rapist Christopher Hubbard to live in. It's just a walk down the street from a very busy park filled with children, as you can see, which also happens to be right near an elementary school. You see all of this, and then it's pretty easy to understand just why this community is so furious. I'll tell you, there are some moments in life that cause you to stop and be in absolute awe over the power of Mother Nature. Micah and Cher, this is one of those moments. See this hill I'm standing on right now? This was not here a few hours ago. This is 15 feet of solid mud and boulders that once covered this road below me here. The community had to be dug out after a mudslide buried parts of it. And these guys were taking a philosophy final when they started hearing the gunshots. Alex, you're a freshman. Describe to us the scene when this was happening, when you heard those pops.
When I heard the pops, I was outside of the classroom coming in.
This is hands down the most dangerous, risky live news situation I've ever been a part of. And frankly, it's kind of scary. The powerhouse fire chased us down all the way through this mountain, and it has now cut off our exits. The powerhouse fire is burning all the trees in the area on this golf course that we've retreated to protect ourselves from the flames. Right now, as you heard, firefighters, they do have a plan. Well, let's turn over here. Look at this. You can actually hear the roar of these flames just tearing right towards our direction. I don't know where else we're going to go if this gets any closer to us. The roads are blocked off. So, how many spirits or ghosts exist around Suicide Bridge? It's hard to say. But according to our supernatural investigators, if you wait long enough, one just might reach out to you. The meteor that exploded over Russia in February was about the size of a school bus and more powerful than any atomic bomb. In comparison, the meteor that streaked over California last night is estimated to be about as big as a pebble, but still very easy to spot.
It looked like huge, something huge.
There's nothing quite like spending a beautiful day at the beach. Well, except when the beach is absolutely disgusting. Ugh. Garbage, filthy water, mountains of bird poop.
This place gets a nickname. It's called the Polio Pond.
This was Pochi Beach, but thankfully there have been improvements. See? Let's count the time, shall we? Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday before these camped out shoppers get the deals they're waiting for. I'm Steve Kuj with the full story on the Black Friday shopping holiday. Police in Arleta are hunting for a killer tonight. I'm Steve Kuj live where a store owner was shot and killed right out in front of his own business. The information we need to know right now: 4 people taken to the hospital, 1 person killed, 1 deputy has been stabbed and is now recovering in that hospital.
Unlawful assembly declared there in the Crenshaw district.
Our Steve Kuj live in Leimert Park, where a peaceful protest was held earlier tonight.
And Steve, we want to know now what the situation is from your vantage point. Steve?
I'll tell you, Mike and Cher, not so peaceful anymore. This started out with very good intentions, definitely a tale of 2 protests. We had several hundred people who gathered here in Leimert Park. They wanted to voice their anger at the outcome of the Trayvon Martin trial. Half of them stayed here. The rest, they took to the streets. They blocked traffic. They smashed windows. They started fires. They got into fights. Right now, we have a number of members of the community who are just urging for calm. They're pleading with some of the people who are acting up to behave themselves. You're looking at riot officers in full gear. They've got their tactical beanbag shotguns, smoke grenade launchers. They're really ready for anything right now. This area could explode in violence at any moment, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. These officers are watching to make sure destruction doesn't happen. This massive gathering began peacefully in the park, but when hundreds of demonstrators moved into the middle of the road, the trouble began. Shops in the protesters' paths locked their doors for protection. And a good thing. Excited protesters kicked this store's window until it broke. Down Crenshaw Boulevard a bit further, innocent drivers and their vehicles became a playground for troublemakers. Organizers of the Trayvon demonstrations were upset by how some of their members acted.
To do so in a way that's not peaceful does not at all bring any sort of positive change, enact any sort of positive change for the spirit of Trayvon Martin or anything that's happening. It only sheds a negative light on the bad apples or the bad seeds within each group, and it's not okay.
This group, along with hundreds of thousands of other people across the country, are outraged that George Zimmerman is a free man after he shot and killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in Florida.
They are wrong. They are wrong. You know they're wrong. I know they're wrong. Don't you see us out here? Don't you see us out? We've been out here before, but we gonna get it right. They gonna turn it over. They gonna turn it the way it's supposed to be.
I want them to say, Zimmerman, you were wrong. You killed an unarmed man. Even if it was manslaughter, and you didn't mean to, you didn't set out to do it, but you killed him.
The hundreds of people that remained in the park prayed for Trayvon Martin's family and demanded justice.
On the rise! On the move!
Moms and dads even brought their small children to take part.
We were very upset by the verdict, and so we wanted to come out and show express our concerns.
With a black teenager dead and his killer receiving a not guilty verdict, many in this crowd see it as a sign that racism is still alive and well in America.
If that had been a white kid, it'd have been a totally different picture. So we want to tell Miami, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida, we're coming by the thousands throughout this nation. We're not going to let it keep on going like that. You're not going to walk up and kill us like that.
Back out here live at Leimert Park, police, LAPD, they're riding through the area. They're telling everybody to disperse, to get out of here, or they will be arrested currently. Now, LAPD's chief of police, Charlie Beck, sent out a tweet earlier saying violence is never the answer, urging all protesters around LA to let peace prevail. This is our city, and we need to work together to preserve it. Those are some very strong, powerful words, and hopefully they do prevail. As you can hear the officers right now, yes, they are threatening these protesters with arrest, any other police action. That's going to include possibly those batons you see all these officers have at their sides. They've got their helmets ready. They are prepared for any type of violence that might erupt. I believe we have to get out of here just as soon as possible. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio, Micah and Cher.
All right, Steve Koosh for us in the Leimert Park area. And there you hear the declaration of unlawful assembly by the LAPD.
The houses. We'll stay overhead, keep an eye on it, but let me send it back down to you in the studio.
Tim Lynn in Sky 5 for us. Steve Koosh live along the fire lines tonight in Poppet Flats with more on how residents are dealing with the danger and, frankly, the devastation tonight. Steve?
The growth of this wildfire, Micah, has been nothing short of explosive. The Silvers fire went off like a bomb earlier today, growing some 6,000% in just a couple of hours. Behind me here, this used to be someone's home, someone's farm, someone's ranch. Now it's just a bunch of burnt wreckage. Everything's come down to the ground, destruction everywhere you look. No buildings left standing except this one over here to my left. This brick building, it's been completely gutted on the inside. Before the night is done, more homes could be lost. When it began, few feared the Silver Fire would grow into the monster it quickly became. Burning south of the town of Banning, the worst damage so far hit the area of Poppet Flats. From the sky, you can pick out the individual plumes of black smoke, each one another home meeting its demise at the hands of this destructive beast. Homeowners and families have only one word to describe it.
It's heart-wrenching. It's very heart-wrenching. We've got a lot of neighbors here that we know because we're in the community. And I believe I've heard 5 to 7 homes have already been lost here.
It's a painful sight for families to see their home gutted by a wildfire. This house was a good deal away from the most powerful destructive flames, but with the wind speeds moving this fast, nothing is safe. The blaze spread, moving faster than an Olympic athlete can run. 30-mile-an-hour winds drove the flames around. Many tried to evacuate, only to have the fast-moving fire cut off their escape routes. For those staying, it's tense, like living in a war zone.
Anytime the fire comes, it's bad memories, but this is the worst one yet.
On the ground, where once proud structures stood, there is only ash. Other, lucky homes were left untouched, though. With the land as dry as a desert, trees and brush are going up like matches, a dozen consumed at a time. So here you can see the flames burning their way up the side of the mountain directly towards us, and this would be our cue to leave. Hundreds of fire personnel are matching wits with the speedy Silver Fire, the prayers and hopes of entire communities at their backs. As a fire official put it to me, this entire fire season has been just one disaster, with a fire after another fire, one after the other. It keeps on going. Fire officials are battling this blaze as I speak, and they will continue to do so all through the night because they have 0% containment, and they really need to get ahead of this thing before it gets any worse, Micah and Cher. I'll send it back to you for now.
All right, Steve Kuj in Poppet Flats near Banning.
Tonight, the Department of Children and Family Services is having to answer some painful questions in the wake of the tragic murder of an 8-year-old Palmdale boy. Community leaders are demanding to know what could have been done to prevent it. KTLA 5 Steve Kuj joining us now live from Lancaster with more. Steve.
Glenn, it's that torture and murder of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez that's pushing city officials here in Lancaster to demand action. Everybody in tonight's meeting agreed they don't want to see any more children slipping through the cracks of the system. However, as it turns out, the county's system is plagued with flaws. The meeting began with an admission of guilt.
Nothing we say here tonight is going to make that death okay. We realize that that child could have been saved.
It continued with a barrage of tough questions for the director of Los Angeles County's Department of Children and Family Services.
Aren't you embarrassed with something as fatuous as that? For heaven's sakes.
When is any of this going to happen?
It's not what I asked you, was it?
Well, I don't know what you're asking.
Okay, let me give you an example.
Lancaster's city council and mayor are furious that a local boy, 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez, was allegedly tortured to death by his mother's boyfriend while his mother encouraged the violence. Calls to Children and Family Services from school teachers, family and friends concerned about Gabriel before his death went unanswered. The department did not act on warning signs. Veteran social worker Jerry Dominguez says it's because they are extremely understaffed and have too many calls to investigate.
The caseloads, they're twice as large as they should be. That's a recipe for disaster year after year after year.
Dominguez claims he and employees in his department are worried about losing their jobs, so they can't help children as best they could.
Because we're afraid.
Family Services officials said they want employees to be able to speak freely. They say they are already working to ensure they never fail to protect any child again. Children like Gabriel.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist, like I said, to just bring that shirt up and see a bruise or cut, and then that's it. You know, take the kid and find out what's going on. My son, my grandson. He suffered. And if they would have did their job, he wouldn't have been murdered.
The Department of Children and Family Services says they receive more than 200,000 calls of child abuse every year. Now, to help with that, they've demanded some 1,000 new employees, although to date, they've only received 50 new employees. Live in Lancaster, I'm Steve Kuj, KTLA 5 News.
This will be sad. It never should have happened.
A young son heartbroken tonight and a community coping with a real murder mystery. A hardworking young father of 4 shot and killed as he finished his night shift at a local convenience store. And tonight police are searching for any clues that could lead them to 26-year-old Daniel Oliveira's killer. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman. And
I'm Cher Calvin. KTLA Steve Kuj is live in Victorville with more on the investigation and the heartbroken family left behind. Steve?
It's just so hard to listen to the tragedy this family is going through right now, Cher and Micah. This area where the shooting happened is not a quiet area at all. It's a massive shopping center. Still, there's no killer, no suspect, nobody in custody because the only thing anyone saw here was our store clerk. Daniel Oliveira collapsed to the ground after he was struck by a bullet. Hundreds of people came out here tonight, and with tears in their eyes, they demanded that this killer turn himself in. By the dozens, they came out to pay their respects, many with tattoos and tough appearances, but on the inside, all heartbroken for the death of Daniel Oliveira. Perhaps none more upset than his 6-year-old son.
When I knew about this, I was scared. I thought he was gonna make it.
Detectives say Oliveira was snatched away from his 4 children by a gunman's bullet. He was standing outside the Victorville AM/PM gas station where he worked, talking to someone late Sunday night, when all of a sudden he went limp and dropped to the ground. Oliveira was shot in the back, according to family. There was nothing paramedics could do for him. His fiancée and mother of his children is still in disbelief.
I had dinner prepared for him when he came home because he said, babe, I'm coming home to see you at 11. But he never came, and his dinner's still at the table. And he never came. Never came.
The murder is a complete mystery. Witnesses at the gas station said they never saw any gunman. They never saw any car speed away. There was only a quick pop sound in Oliveira's death.
He needs justice. I loved him, my partner, my best friend. They just took him away from me.
He was a great guy to everybody and was nice. Wow, this isn't a gang member.
Oliveira's friends told me he was incredibly hardworking and generous. His 4 kids are so young, they will have to grow up knowing their dad only through the stories others will tell them.
I hope he's come back. I want to talk to him.
I wish he was back here, huh? You get choked up a little bit here and that from that. It's awful what they're going through. The Oliveira family needs a whole lot of help from the community because Daniel provided everything for his children, and now they have nobody, no one left. If anyone knows anything about this case or can help police out, please contact them. I'll send it back to you for now, Sharon Micah.
Steve Koosh for us in Victorville, a Riverside. At Santa Monica College tonight, it was a bittersweet graduation ceremony for the class of 2013. Joy and accomplishment mixed with sorrow and remembrance as students paid tribute to the victims of Friday's deadly rampage. KTLA's Steve Koosh live in Santa Monica with more. Steve.
After those violent shootings, Micah, you know security was going to be a major concern at tonight's event. Thankfully, the graduation ceremony went off without a hitch, perhaps due to a little extra preparation or maybe all the extra police officers around here. Still, though, there was some anxiety in the crowds. As they sit with anticipation, ready to enthusiastically grab that diploma, these graduates wait cautiously. The future isn't the only thing they're worried about.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't want to show up because they're just afraid of what happened Friday, so pretty scared.
Just days earlier, bullets sliced through the air on campus, and Gabby Rodriguez was nearly caught in the gunfire. A man armed to the teeth went on a murderous path, killing 5 people according to police before he was gunned down. One of his victims, Marcelo Franco, had dreams of walking down this very path and graduating someday.
This student was showing up 2 weeks early to buy her books. That she was doing a responsible thing.
Mixed emotions completely because, you know, I feel sad for everybody that suffered.
Just around campus, it's been very somber since the...
For those who died, a moment of silence. Officers protected the ceremony of thousands from any danger, while speakers assured the grads that what they have been given is more powerful than any gun.
Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change this world.
With the hopes and dreams of those who died pushing them onward, these grads know they have more purpose than ever.
The best thing that you can do is just keep moving on with your life and go on from there.
Everyone has motivation to just keep going for those that were lost.
Back out here live on the campus of Santa Monica College, the memorial for those who died still burns bright. Tonight also, Santa Monica College's president announced the creation of a financial fund set up for the victims, a few of the victims who had ties to the school. That'd be the Franco family and Margarita Gomez. Hopefully, this will provide their families with a little bit of peace. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Steve Koosh live in Santa Monica tonight as we learn new details about the gunman, John Zawahiri. There was a chilling incident back in 2006 when Zawahiri was attending Olympic High School, an alternative school in Santa Monica for students who've struggled in traditional programs.
He was a very genuine person with a big heart.
A fond farewell today. Thousands of Paul Walker's fans paid tribute to the actor and car enthusiast, as well as his friend, Roger Rodas. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Chambers.
And I'm Carolyn Costello in for Courtney Friel. The KTLA 5 News at 6 starts right now. Thousands made their way to Santa Clarita today to pay their last respects to Fast and Furious star Paul Walker. Organizers are using social media to promote the gathering, which began around 1 this afternoon. KTLA's Steve Couge is live in Valencia with the very latest. Steve.
I'll tell you, what's really astounding about this enormous memorial car ride, Carolyn, is that the thousands of people and cars who showed up here, they did so simply through word of mouth and social media. There wasn't one massive organization pulling everybody together. All these people felt compelled to honor the legacy of Paul Walker, a man who entertained them with his famous movies and charming personality. As the souped-up sports cars roll on by, the tears roll down the cheeks of fans of one of the biggest racing movie stars of our generation.
Just to know that we've lost a really great human being such as him, it's just a great loss to the world.
Thousands of cars and tens of thousands of people, some who still need to ride in child car seats, came to the accident scene where actor Paul Walker died in a fiery crash with his friend Roger Rodas 1 week ago.
As far as I'm concerned, he's kind of the James Dean of our time. You know, and he went too soon, so kind of here to pay respect for him and his family, Roger Rodas' family, that sort of thing.
They drove in from all over the country for this memorial. This guy flew in from Florida. There are Paul Walker fans from almost every state.
There's Idaho, Texas, Utah, Montana. I've seen some Tennessee ones out here.
Among the flowers and candles, car parts and toy vehicles are spread around by fans. They are reminiscent of the Fast and Furious movies Walker was best known for. Some are wearing T-shirts with his picture. Many are filling the side of a bus with their signatures to Walker and Rodas' families. Sympathy and well wishes are even written in the sky.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's really tremendous to see something like this.
You know, his heart reached out to millions, and we're reaching back to him today.
I say rest in peace. He was a good man.
R.I.P. Or, as the personal notes say, race in paradise.
Yeah, I love you. I love you, Paul.
With the thousands of people that have been coming and going all day long, all things considered, sheriff's deputies tell me things went relatively smoothly. There were no arrests, just a few dozen parking tickets. As for the crash that took the lives of Walker and Roger Rodas, it's still under investigation. Rick and Carolyn, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Steve Couge up in the Santa Clarita Valley. We thank you for that. Walker and his friend Roger Rodas were, of course, killed when that Porsche Carrera GT driven by Mr. Rodas crashed into a pole and a tree last week. The two had taken the 600 horsepower car for a ride after a charity event that was sponsored by Reach Out Worldwide. That's Walker's charity that helps disaster victims all around the globe. Coroner's officials say that Walker died from a combination of things, injuries and burns. Sheriff's officials said speed was in fact a factor in all of this, but there was no evidence that the pair had been out there street racing. Investigators are trying to determine now if there was some sort of a mechanical failure that may have caused Rodas to lose control. So many of us watched live on the KTLA News at 1 as the suspect left a trail of damage across South Los Angeles. Steve Couge joins us live near 43rd and Vermont, where that wild chase ended. Steve?
Hey, Mike, if you think things look tense from up in the sky, down here on the ground, let me tell you, it was outright scary at times. With this driver tearing around South LA's communities like a maniac, a few families told me they were concerned he was going to end up crashing right into their living rooms, plowing into their houses. It all ended right here on Vermont Avenue in this exact spot.
He deliberately placed his vehicle in reverse and backed into our car. He spun the tires as he crashed into our car.
An afternoon in South LA turned into a demolition derby. Police chased a man in the stolen white van you see here for miles as they say he tried to outrun them.
We came outside running because the helicopters and everything was right there, and we seen when it crashed.
The driver burned rubber in front of Diana Lopez's house and crashed into a man in his SUV.
He was just nervous. He was just scared, and he was just like shaking because of, the impact.
Neighbors tell me that man went to the hospital. Police took the van down with spike strips. Watch as this officer pops two of the vehicle's tires. The driver was careless, dangerous, and very aggressive. Police say they tried to back off on the pursuit to allow him to slow down a bit, keeping people on the streets safe. It didn't work.
He showed disregard for public safety. He actually increased his speeds. He blatantly drove through red lights and stop signs.
With around a dozen police and civilian cars banged up and smashed by the van's driver, officers finally stopped him on Vermont Avenue and 43rd Place. They tackled him to the ground and made the arrest. Now, a few officers were hurt during this chase, but thankfully none of them had to go to the hospital. Investigators are checking to see if this guy was high on drugs and/or alcohol at the time of the chase. And as for the chase itself, why did he do it? Well, I'm trying to find that out right now for everybody. Live in South LA, I'm Steve Couge. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you.